Yes, sir. Recording, right?
Yeah, shall I? I want to introduce
No.
once again.
Okay, 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 sir.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, ma'am, please unmute your mic.
Okay, sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, so good morning to all. So it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Ruchi Pawar. She is currently working as an assistant professor of mathematics at GD Goneka University, Haryana, in the School of Basic and Applied Sciences. She received PhD degree in mathematics from the Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, and her master's degree from the Gurukula Kongri Vishwavidyalaya.
Okay.
And after PhD, she is working as an assistant professor in the School of Basic and Applied Sciences at Goneka University. And she is a published author of several papers in the national and international journals of reputed. And she is currently as an active reviewer of the International Journal of Advanced Robotic Systems, and our current area of research includes walk-off robot in 3D plane and on irregular surfaces using soft computing techniques, application of soft computing techniques, and application of neural network for solving differential equations. And she is also working in the area of linear algebra, robotics, and bipedal robots, MATLABs, and neural network. And she is also qualified the national level examinations conducted by CSIR and UGC in the year 2003 twice, and also qualified the GATE examination. And she was awarded a fellowship by the Ministry of Human Resource Development in her doctoral studies. So with this brief introduction, now I request Dr. Ruchi Pawar to take over the session. So madam, please take over the session. Over to
Thank you so
you.
much, sir, for this introduction. So today we are going to discuss about uses of neural network for gate planning of biped robot. These are some example of biped robot. I think everyone is well known about these two examples. Before going further, let me show one video with you. So this is robotics. And here a robot is picking something and place at some place, and again we already feed the data in the robot. He's doing the work according to data. So there are so many type of robots, but now in this lecture we are going to talk about biped robot. So what the need of biped robot? If in this video, if there are any obstacle or stair in between the path of this robot, so it cannot take over a step over that obstacle. It cannot go on the stairs. So robots, biped robots, are very beneficial for us. They can replace humans in very difficult environments like mining, nuclear plant activity, military related work. Biped robots are very beneficial for us in every field. So to move a biped robot, first we have to plan about locomotion. What is locomotion or gait of a biped robot? So locomotion is the ability of a body to move from one place to another place. Like we human, we move from one place to another place. So there's a particular way of walking of every human or every animal. Even bird, they have their own pattern of walking. So here we choose biped robot, or we can say humanoid robot, because human can work in complex environment like staircase walking, rough terrain, slopy surface, and many other things are there which can only covered by legged robot. So before to understand what is legged robot, how to plan a walk of for a biped robot, first we have to understand three type of planes. There are three type of planes: sagittal plane, frontal plane, and transverse plane. If you see the front view of a body and back view of a body, that is frontal plane. So frontal plane is the plane perpendicular to the sagittal plane, and it's divide the body into front and back portion. So this is your frontal plane. To plan a walk of a biped robot, you should know sagittal front and transverse plane, because you have to plan the motion. If you are walking on a straight ground, then there's no need of, maybe there's no need of transverse plane, a motion in transverse plane. There may be no need of motion in frontal plane of any of the part of your body. So if you know what is sagittal plane, what is frontal plane, what is transverse plane, you can easily plan the motion with less degree of freedom. So sagittal plane is the plane which is divide the body into left and right subsection. Frontal plane is the plane which divide the body into front and back portion. And the plane perpendicular to both sagittal and frontal plane is the transverse plane. So it is totally clear from this figure what is frontal plane, what is sagittal plane, and what is transverse plane. Now, before going to discuss what is walk and what I have done in my during my research, let me show you one video. This is Honda robot. So in this video, the robot is walking with bent knee, and we humans doesn't walk with bent knee. We walk with one straight knee and one knee with bend. If you observe your walk and walk of other person, we have no bend in our walk, and I think humans walk in more energy efficient and more efficient way. So in my research, I try to follow the walk of a human with minimum degree of freedoms to achieve a good walk. So with minimum energy consumption. So I'm again showing you this video. You can easily observe that this robot is working with bend knee. So it is a very good research. Honda robot is a very good one, but everything have some drawbacks. So we have to modify them. So this is my biped robot model. The upper body, the whole mass of upper body, we consider as a one upper body mass, that is M6. We consider here less number of degree of freedom to plan the walk. After planning, we can increase the degree of freedom. So there is one hip joint, knee joint, ankle joint, toe joint, sole joint, and heel. So this is the plan, how we plan the motion of this biped robot model. This blue one is swing leg, which is moving forward. And this red one is stable leg. When we walk, one leg is a stable leg and second leg is swing leg, or you can name them as you wish. So one leg is fixed on the ground, which is straight, and another leg is moving from backward to forward. So here red one leg is fixed, which we calling stable leg, and the blue leg is moving forward. First we bend our sole, then we bend our toe. Similarly, in a stable foot, first we touch with our heel and then by sole and then by toe. So then when our stable foot is flat, then we take a step further and with when our swing leg heel touching the ground. Upper body also moving, the lower body is moving in the sagittal plane and upper body is moving in frontal plane. There should be some frontal plane motion of upper body to achieve a stable motion, because in other robots stability is not a big issue, but in human walk stability is very big issue. That's why human learn the walking in 1.5 year, or it can be 1 year. So it's take a long time, because it's difficult to take a stable walk, because we have to walk on two legs. There's no four leg, no three leg. In four leg and in four leg or three leg, there's already balance there. But in two leg, we also have to think about stability, as we can fall down. So before discussing what I have planned and what is other thing, let me first discuss with you all some basic terms which are very useful for you to understand this motion. So first basic term is single support and double support phase. So at a particular instant, one or both the leg can be in contact with the ground. So here we name the leg which is contact the ground as stable leg, and other leg which is in air or which is leaving the ground is swing leg. So whole walking is divided into two phases: single support phase and in double support phase. I'm not talking about running. In running, there is a possibility that your both leg is not on the ground. But when we are walking, one leg is always, maybe little bit, but always in the contact of ground. So when one leg is in the contact of the ground and second one is in the air, so it is called single support phase. And when both the leg, or you can say both the feet are touching the ground, it is called double support phase. So if one foot is on the ground, second one is in the air, single support phase. And if both foot are touching the ground, maybe little bit they are touching, but they are touching the ground, this is called double support phase. So a single cycle of walking can be divided into two phases: single support phase and double support phase. Single support phase is that phase of biped locomotion where only one foot is in contact with the ground, and double support phase both feet are in the contact with the ground. As you can see from this figure also, here both feet are touching the ground. Maybe little bit they are touching, but they are touching the ground. Here again both feet are touching the ground. So figure 1 and figure 2 are double support phase. In figure 3, this swing leg foot is above the ground. So this is your single support phase. And in fourth picture, again, this is a case of double support phase, because swing foot heel is touching the ground. So I think single support phase and double support phase is clear to all. Now I'm going to discuss with you all DH procedure for biped robot. For getting the structure of biped robot, the main structure of your biped robot, to plan the kinematic, dynamics, forward and inverse kinematic. You should know what is DH procedure for your biped robot. You have to map frames according to DH procedure and assign the frame and find the DH parameters. So in this figure, I have assigned one base frame on this zero link, second frame on second frame on this first link, then on second link, third, fourth, fifth. So here I place the coordinate frame. According to DH procedure, we can easily calculate the joint angle, the twist angle, link length, and joint length. So by using the DH procedure, I have placed here these frames on the joints of my robot, and here the parameters, DH parameters table for this robot model. And also, let me tell you this, in this model, I have only take the flat footed. There's no motion. I only consider the flat footed robot. In further, I will consider in further slide, I will consider the moving foot robot also. But for avoiding the difficulties, first I only consider the flat footed biped robot model. After calculating these DH parameters, then we can calculate homogeneous coordinate transformation matrix using these parameters. These first link parameters are used in homogeneous coordinate transformation matrix, and we will get a matrix A 0 to 1. Then we use the second theta 2 and 0 L2 and 0 these coordinates, and again we got a matrix. So in a similar manner, as there are 5 links, we got here 5 matrix. So all these DH parameters we got from DH procedure, and then using these parameters in homogeneous transformation matrix, we got these coordinate transformation matrix. Only with the help of these homogeneous coordinate transformation matrix, we can calculate the kinematic and dynamic of the robot, because they are representation, matrix representation of a link or joint. So this is our second point. Now, as I already told you, in humans, stability is most important. You, your work should be controlled, but first that should be stable. So for stability point of view, I'm introducing here zero momentum point. Zero momentum point is defined as a point on the ground about which the resultant sum of momentum of all forces which are active is zero. Zero momentum point we calculate to assure the stability of the biped robot. And zero momentum point can be calculated by using the following equation. By using XZMP, we can calculate the there on a ground there are some X direction and Y direction, like sagittal we can say. So we can calculate XZMP by using this formula and YZMP by using this formula, and represent here the number of links. So as we discuss about zero momentum point, so what is the use of zero momentum point, and when our robot can be stable? We know zero momentum point is some point, but how it relates the stability? So your robot can be stable if your zero momentum point is in the supported region with maximum stability margin. If the zero momentum point for your robot is in the supported region with maximum stability margin, then your robot can work stably. So supported region, what is supported region? The convex hull of all floor contact points is called supported region or polygon. And ZMP should lie within the supported polygon for stable work. And what is stability margin? Stability margin was defined for a given supported polygon as the smallest of the distance from the ZMP to the edges of the supported polygon. The work is stable, as I already told you, work is stable if ZMP lies strictly inside the supported region with larger stability margin. So here are 2 foot. Stable foot is represented by red one and swing foot is represented by blue one. So in starting, swing foot is totally in contact with the ground, as you can see from here. Here. In double support phase, I am discussing it. In single support phase, there is no movement in the swing foot, so there's only a in single support phase your stable foot will be risen, and in double support phase one polygon is there. So during the foot, so if your foot is moving, then so here our foot is moving, and initially your swing foot is totally on the ground and stable foot heel is touching. Then after time t1, your toe is on the ground and sole is above the ground, and in stable foot sole is touching the ground and toe is above the ground. You can say that it is like this. You can see from this figure right here. Moving, then whole foot is in the air. So for this we have, this one is your stability mark, supported region. So during double support phase at time t0, at time t1, and at time t2. For flat-footed robot, this one is the only double support phase. This one is the only supported region. This one for toe-footed robot. And during single support phase, your stable foot is the only your supported region. You can overview from here. As your robot start at t0 time, start to move, I plan the ZMP trajectory like this. As I start when my robot start the walk, ZMP, after observing so many walks, I will follow this ZMP trajectory, and it is not planned. It is coming according to my robot's joint trajectory. But my ZMP is moving in just like this way. So in single support phase, ZMP should be located inside the foot region, and in double support phase, ZMP should fall within the supported region. So at time t0, here is ZMP. Then from time t0 to t1, it start to move from middle of foot to stable foot. Stay there and moving slightly. You can see this red line moving slightly from backward to forward during time t0 to t3. So t1 to t3, and again in 1/4 time it's returned back to the middle position. And also your ZMP trajectory is depend on your foot. If you have flat footed robot, then there's different kind of ZMP trajectory, and if you have toe footed robot, then there's a different kind of ZMP trajectory. So I will discuss it further. So let me first discuss you flat footed biped robot model. Now I will discuss with you flat footed biped robot model and toe footed biped robot model, and how I plan the trajectory and what is their ZMP graph. So this is your flat footed biped robot. These are parameters for this robot. Red one is representing the stable leg and blue one is representing the swing leg. here I only represent the leg movement, which is in sagittal plane. These are some basic. So after for flat-footed robots, swing length trajectory for these given boundary condition are these, and stable leg trajectory for given these conditions is this. As hip is following a circular path from here to here, and both hip are following the same trajectory because we are moving on a flat surface, then both hip follow the same trajectory. But if you are moving on stairs or on some uneven surface, then it is not necessary that both hip follow the same trajectory. So next, after calculating these trajectories, next we have to calculate forward kinematic and inverse kinematic. So what is forward kinematic? If you want to assess one position, you want to assess these position, two type of cases. First, if you want to assess this position, you have to give one angle here and one angle here, then you can assess this position in two link manipulator. And if you have this angle and this angle, according to this angle you can assess one position. If you have position and you have to find the joint angles, that is forward kinematic. And if you have the joint variables and dimension of the links, and you want to find the position and orientation of the end effector, that is inverse kinematic. So this is forward kinematic for my robot. And for inverse kinematic, I used artificial neural network. So in artificial neural network, there are so many transfer function are there. I use sigmoid function. So I have calculated the inverse kinematic using neural network. I have given the end effector position, apply some weights, and after that I got the joint angles. This one is my error. Sigmoid function, weight updation formula. So this is forward kinematic, inverse kinematic. After calculating them, I have to plan the motion of upper body, or you can say trunk, because trunk play an important role in ZMP stability. How your upper body is moving, that play an important role in your ZMP stability. As you can see, when one person is walking on a rope, some kind of trick are there, they use the upper body. They hold one something in their hand, and according to our upper body, they balance their walk on rope. Some kind of you can see in movies, or in maybe it can be real, in real life also. So upper body play an important role in ZMP stability. So I have planned, I have tried so many way. I have observed so many walks of humans. I observed so many times of my walk. I observe, you can say up to 6 months, I observe my walk, how I am walking, how other person are walking. So it is very awkward for me to observe the others, but I have to observe them, how they are walking. So after observing all these things, the upper body start to move from middle to the side of stable leg hip during time T0 to T1. This is for flat-footed robot. If your foot movement is changed, your upper body trajectory will be changed. So upper body start to move from middle to the side of the stable leg hip during time T0 to T1. Stay there for half time and again return back in 1/4 time. I have planned here 3 cases to observe which one is better for my flat-footed robot. So this is first case. In second case, my robot start to move from T0 to in 1/8 time of whole time, from middle to hip of stable leg, stay there for less of the time and again return back in 1/8 time. In case third, the upper body start to move from middle position to stable leg from T0 to T2 time and return back to initial condition. It is not stopping there. It is go in T0 to T2 time and again return back in half time. So this one is view of my robot in frontal plane. This is front. This is the view of this robot in from frontal plane. So these are my result trajectory. This is ZMP trajectory according to upper body trajectory. As I already told you that upper body play an important role in ZMP trajectory. So this one for first case, this one for second case, and this one for third case. As you can easily see that most stable trajectory is I got in third case, where for flat-footed robot, I'm again saying, where the robot start to move from T0 to T2 time, from middle to stable foot, and again return back in half time. No stoppage at on stable leg foot. This is full body motion using neural network. Now, any question here, or I will start biped model for toe-footed robot. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to discuss toe-footed robot, biped robot model of. So here I have taken the same degree of freedom, but there's a movement at sole joint, at ankle joint. This one is sole joint, this one is ankle joint. This starting portion is I named as toe, and the last portion of foot I named as heel. So there's one movement at ankle joint and one movement at sole joint. These are the less number of degree of freedom which we can consider in biped robot. So this one are my parameters. This one is the structure of robot legs in sagittal plane. Red one is stable leg, or blue one is swing leg, or you can say moving leg. This one is the swing foot planning and stable foot planning during DSP and SSP. During DSP means double support phase, swing foot start to move like this. In T0 to T1 time, it's move from here to here, and T0 to T1 time, it move from here to here. Here only sole is moving, here sole plus toe both are moving. And then it's leave the ground, for all link follow some trajectory, and then again heel, here toe is leaving and here heel is touching the ground of swing foot. Stable foot, when this position I took as initial condition for stable foot. So stable foot is in this condition, then it start to move toward the ground. So first sole touch the ground and then toe. If you observe your walk, you find a similar pattern in your walk. So this one is my ankle trajectory during DSP. This one is ankle trajectory during SSP. I have used cubic polynomial for planning the. Okay. This one is for swing leg. And now I also have to plan for stable leg, and for stable leg some sole trajectory, toe trajectory, and hip trajectory are there. So these are my trajectories. This one is the supported reason for SSP and DSP during one step. As I already discussed with you, this one at time T0, this one at time T1, this one at time t2, and at time t3 swing foot is not touching the ground, only stable foot 2. So blue thing is only the supported polygon, and at final time t4 this one is your supported polygon. So this one is DSP and this one is SSP up to time t4. At time t4 again DSP will start. This one my ZMP formula. So as I already told you, the upper body motion we have to decide according to foot movement. So again, I have considered three type of cases after observing so many walks. There are three. I again consider three cases here: case one, case two, and case three. In case one, upper body start to move from swing leg hip. I'm not moving from middle position. I'm moving from upper body is moving from swing leg hip to stable leg hip during T0 to T2 time. Stay there all the time during SSP. Your upper to leg hip in half time and stay there all during SSP T0 to T4 time. Second case, upper body start to move from middle to the side of the stable leg hip during time T0 to T1. Stay there from T1 to T3 time and again return back in 1/4 time. Third case is your upper body start from middle position of stable leg hip to in half time. Your upper body start from middle position to stable leg hip in half time and return back at the middle position in the rest of half time. So these are I have planned the trajectory using cubic polynomial, quartic polynomial, and quantic polynomial, because if there is some discontinuity in velocity and acceleration, it is creating problem in my stability. There should not be you can say there should not be no jerk or some sharpness in your trajectory. If there is something like this, your robot will not be stable. This one is the ZMP graph for case 1, case 2, and case 3. As you can see, case first is more stable because during DSP it is in the supported polygon, and during SSP again it is in the supported polygon. So I have done large number of simulation using different parameters and vary the step length between these parameters: step time, velocity, step height, and also I used three type of polynomial trajectory, and then I got this table. In case upper body, I have considered three cases for upper body. In first case of upper body ankle trajectory, I have planned with three type of polynomials. Step time is maximum step time is 3, and it is out of stability region for last 4 time instant. In case third is totally unstable, and in case first it is stable. And you can see in case of cubic polynomial at time 2.1 step time, it is unstable. And this is your hip velocity. Now at 1.8 second, it is for quantic polynomial, it is unstable, but for 2 seconds, it is stable. So this is my final result. It is stable for 2 seconds. So it can take a step in 2 seconds. What is step time means? Step time means that the time taken to take a step from initial condition to final condition. When we are taking a step backward to forward, so which time is taken, that is called step time. And the length it is covering, that is called step length. So here is the minimum time for quantic polynomial, that is 2.1 second. This one is stable ZMP trajectory for case 1 for time 2.1 second. This one is the final robot model for 2-step. Upper body movement is like this. After doing all these things, I also try to walk this robot in irregular surface and also to cross some obstacle. This one is irregular surface, but it can walk on more irregular surface, but you have to do some modification in hip trajectory, because if you are moving on more you can say unstable or irregular surface, there should be an movement in sagittal plane of your, there is a movement of your hip in sagittal plane. So for you have to plan the trajectory, so not in sagittal plane, in frontal plane. So you have to plan the hip trajectory in more difficult way. So but this robot, uh, here I only planned the hip trajectory in sagittal plane, but this robot can also cross these type of 1 unit and half unit obstacle. And sorry, this is walk of robot on irregular surface, and it can also cross an obstacle of 3.5 unit and height 5.5 unit in one step of 16 units and step height 9 units within 4 seconds. This one is the biped robot MATLAB model that it can cross an obstacle of this height and this width. This one is the ZMP trajectory for during crossing this obstacle. When it is walking on irregular surface, this one is your ZMP graph. This one is inverse kinematic using neural network. Now, after planning all these things, I understand that trajectory play a most important role for biped robot work. So again, I try FNN, and I also nowadays trying WNN. I have tried FNN with feed forward neural network and wavelet neural network for trajectory planning of biped robot. So I have no need to use cubic polynomial or some other polynomial for planning the trajectory. I'm only giving the initial condition and I will got the input as a trajectory using FNN, because FNN can work as universal approximator.
Ma'am, there is a question from the participant.
Yes.
For the simulation and everything, what is the tool you have used?
I only use the MATLAB because I'm a mathematics student, so it's tough for me to use the engineering work. So I have used the simulation in MATLAB. So now another student under the guidance of my supervisor, he is trying to use some tool to simulate these models, right?
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
So here I use feed forward neural network as a trajectory. FNN model is used for 4 constraint and for 6 constraint. Here N1, N2, N1, N2, N3 are neural networks which are trained using boundary conditions and some error function. And after training them, I put the final network here, and it is working as a trajectory for my robot. So this is unpublished work. I'm working on it. I have planned dynamic for this robot and so many other things I'm also working nowadays. So thank you. No, you can see this blue one is trajectory. Yeah, This blue one is trajectory using neural network, and this red one is using polynomials. So for 4 constraint, FNN is providing more good result. There are more continuity, and there's no surface, so it can be used very easily for biped robot because there are no surface, and we have continuity in acceleration, continuity in velocity, position, and in more other derivatives. So this FNN is more useful. Thank you. Any question here?
I request the participants to raise the questions if any. Ma'am, there is one question from Mr. Rehan Khan. So
Yes, sir.
can heuristic search be also added for having better results?
What?
Query
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
the public chat. You can see the question from the Mr. Rehan Khan. So can heuristic search be also added for having better results?
Yeah, it is depend on your what kind of working you are planning and what kind of data you have. So there are so many methods and they are working very well in this field. So it's depend on your data and what kind you are, what kind of work you are planning. It's depend on that. Because I have used FNN and WNN both here in my research, which is I'm doing nowadays. FNN is giving more accurate result beside of WNN. So it totally depend on your data. Any other question?
Any other question from the participants?
Okay, meanwhile, I could ask a question. Ma'am, in your system, what is the number of degrees of freedom for the system which you have considered?
Number of degree of freedom is 4 for flat-footed robot and 8 for toe-footed robot model.
Okay, okay.
These are less number of degree of freedom which we can consider for two-footed and flat-footed robot model.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions from the participants?
Dr. Murugan, he mentioned just regarding validation. Not sure what does it mean.
Yes, sir.
If,
I'm trying for
if
that.
you,
Yes, sir.
okay.
One more question from Mr. Rehan Khan. So what kind of joints are best suited for your proposed model? What kind of joints are best suited for
Rotational
your?
joint. Rotational joints, sir. All joints are rotational joints.
Okay. Any other questions?
Okay, maybe one more question from me. Ma'am, your model is an underactuated model or a fully actuated one? Which means that, yeah.
So it is under actually.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sir. Let us conclude the session if there are no questions.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. No. Some people are asking some questions for controller.
नहीं बाद में बताऊंगा.
Okay. So last question, ma'am. Dr. Devdatta posed one question.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Hello. Hello. Sir.
optimization techniques can be used for controller design. So he raised one query, Dr. Devdatta.
Yes, sir.
Optimization techniques can be used for controller design.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. You can see my guide, other student of my guide use computing techniques for controller design for robot manipulator. So I will also, nowadays I'm doing that work with this model, planning the trajectory using FNN and WNN and controller using neural network. So you can see so many papers are there which have used of computing techniques for controlling the robot.
Okay, ma'am. Sir, let us conclude the session. So, thank you very much, ma'am, for
Yes,
your
sir.
insightful lecture on bipedal robots and the uses of neural networks in the robotics. Thank you very much. And last
Yeah,
question,
as
ma'am.
a,
One question he raised, Mr. Sorry for disturbing. So, Mr. Rahankar, one more question. Can you please put more light on, sir? So, ma'am.
On which, sir? Your voice is breaking.
Okay, ma'am. So, can you please put more light on under actuator approach in your model? So, this is the query raised by the Mr. Ryan Kar.
So this is out of my syllabus because I'm not engineering student, so I have little bit knowledge about this. So sorry for that. But I
Okay,
will
so,
find the answer of this question for further.
okay, ma'am. Okay.
okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for your insightful into
And
bipedal
also,
robots and applications
so as
of
a
neural networks.
coordinator, I also would like to thank you, ma'am. Thanks for this wonderful lecture. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
So, thank you very much for accepting our invitation in the short period of notice.
No issue, sir. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay, sir, we can conclude, I guess.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Dear all, the next session will be at 12 o'clock, and there I will be discussing about the control systems, okay, for position control as well as force control, okay. And after that, there will be a session from 2:30 to 4, and in that session, we will have a discussion on quadcopter, okay, so drones, and during that session I will also discuss about the question paper which I have shared. And one more thing, I have also shared the Google form link in the Google Classroom, so you can have a look, and then we'll discuss about the questions in the last session. And from 4 to 5, there will be a validatory function where we'll just have a last word at that time. Okay. Thank you. So with that, we'll conclude this session, and we'll meet at 12 o'clock. Thank you. Thank you all.